Eyes closed and dreams go free. Got an angel next to me. Hold me close so I can breathe. Let me go so I can live. Where do we go from here? Take me far away, so we can stop the time.
Captain Rio, we got him on the run. Captain Rio.
Where do we go from here? Take me far away, so we can stop the time, and love will take its place. It will be tonight when I turn off the world for you. It will be tonight when I turn off the stars for you. It will be tonight when I turn off the world for you. It will be tonight when I turn off the stars. I turn off the stars for you. Forget your past.
All right, now I'm going to say, like, catch my family, and welcome to another Team Light Interviews. The awesome, the powerful, the Miss Jan Johnson. How are you doing, Jan?
I'm good. I was just rocking out to that 80s tune.
I know. I know. I'm over
an
here
80s
dancing.
Girl.
Yeah, oh yeah. So
yeah.
Jan, you are Team Light Command out there in Austin. Tell us what's going on out there on the ground. What are we getting ready for? And really, what I wanted to share too was for all of our family coming. Now's the time to take advantage of coming to our conference, but really just kind of organizing the travel, the hotels, and all that stuff too. Because I mean, why don't you let them know how it's kind of filling up out there?
Well, we were just talking about that before you started the recording, and even months ago, looking at accommodations and things, people are going crazy. Well, they're flying in from all over the world. Texas is kind of ground central. You've seen the picture where the October eclipse came across one direction, and now this one's coming across the other direction. Then it makes an X right over central Texas, and it really activated me when I saw that, and I know it did you too.
Yes.
And so it's happening to people when they see that. They're like, it's going across the whole U.S., but Texas is ground central, and people are really drawn to be here.
Right.
And so if you need to come to this, I feel it in my soul, Rion, as do you, that this is going to be life-changing.
Yes.
Sometimes we don't really know the activations we're getting until days, weeks, months later. But we need to be here. You need to be here. But yes, find your place. I'm in your Telegram group. I can help people. I'm right here in Austin, native Austinite. I know Bastrop well. If people need help, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Find places, but really we got to get on it because places are booking up.
Yeah, that was the main thing when I was looking at stuff, and for all my friends and family coming out there and all the staff, it's a large organizational thing to get this done, and we have the convention center in Bastrop where that solar eclipse makes the X, and I felt like since we're interviewing Jan, I had to wear the white hat, I had to wear that cowboy hat. You and all the Team Light Austin. You ladies got me. I'm very excited. I only wear this for you guys.
Well, you better be bringing it to the meeting.
I'm ready to go, bro.
I told you this when we gifted it to you. It's a high honor when a Texan gifts you with a cowboy hat. Because it's not something we take lightly. And if anybody deserves a white hat, it's you, Rion.
Well, hey, I like to ride horses, that's what's up. Texas and Arizona were very similar, northern Arizona, you know what I mean? But no, man, I just, I feel like this is such a big thing and I'm trying to be like super casual with it. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey guys, and I'm like, this is not
Yeah.
going to happen. And then just to be clear, there will be other solar eclipses after obviously this one, but this is the
Right.
last one over North America till 2044. That's the main thing. You know, there'll be other solar eclipses, you know, other countries or whatnot, but for all of us living in the States and everyone coming in, the real thing that I feel is just, you know, dormant DNA upgrades,
Yeah.
dimensional awareness, being
Hmm.
around like-minded people, being around friends and family. I didn't even know this, but you know, even with the conferences we've done in the past, I didn't even realize that there's like 4 or 5 couples who are now married that met at our conferences. Did you know that?
Woo!
Yeah, I mean, I was like, hey, where do I find other light workers or light beings or, you know, or my soulmate? You know, it's like, well, come to where all the like-minded energies are coming
Yeah.
together, you know?
Yeah.
So
I've been
with that,
told that's where I'll meet my next person is at a conference. So we'll
listen,
see.
you need Indiana Jones in a white hat just waiting for
Oh
you,
yeah.
Jan.
Yep. Yep. It'll happen. Yeah, I'll be surprised if every single person that was at the October gathering that you had isn't at this one, because that's one of the things. I
It
mean,
was
you can watch
special.
YouTube videos, you can do the online stuff, but there is nothing
Mhm.
like coming together with your soul tribe. It is so, it's life changing. It's just fills your soul. And that's kind of what I'm all about. People don't know who I am unless you live around here, but because I don't have a YouTube channel, that's not what I've been drawn to do.
Mhm.
I am in the light worker category right now of being a unifier. So my
Mhm.
passion is bringing people together, and yeah, so I'm so
Well,
excited.
and you know, let's. I like that you're being humble, Jan. I like the, but me meeting Jan for the first time, and for you guys who don't know, she's our Tartaria expert. And I know it's difficult to say expert with such a vast
Yeah,
amount of knowledge and wisdom, but that was her forte. In October at the last solar eclipse was Tartaria, speaking about Tartaria, even in Austin, talking
yeah,
about the mud flood, talking about things that are very interesting, like this hidden history. That's
yes.
her forte. So, Jan, without further ado, why don't you just give them a little taste of like what really happened in the United States? What is Tartaria? What is the mud flood? How we use cymatics in the past to heal people and to move frequency and information. I mean, I think the world would like to know.
Well, yeah, I talked about it in October, and I'd never given a presentation on that before. Just to back up a little bit, those that don't know me, my background is healthcare, the medical field. I'm a respiratory therapist. I did that for about 30 years, 15 years hospital, mostly neonatal ICU. And then I worked for, I said, I'm more guided to the hands on getting people together. And we do that here. You've been here. I have a place at my house that I created called the Up Hub, and we have gatherings. But my background is medical. I'm a respiratory therapist, and I worked hospital critical care for about 15 years. And then I went into the corporate environment working for medical companies. I traveled around and did consulting and a lot of public speaking. So I love to teach, I love to do public speaking. But then, your soul is like, there's something not right with this picture here. And I just couldn't do it anymore. And so I went into the journey of extensive training for sound healing and reconnective healing, theta healing, vibrational medicine. I just love it. So it's what happens with many of us on this awakening journey. I feel like my higher self or my guides are like, okay, she's done with that chapter. Let's move on to the next one. And here came this topic, Tartaria. And I was like, what is that? And so just started learning about that. And it's fascinating. I feel like the topic of Tartaria, and one thing I do want to talk about, and we'll do it at the convention center, the meeting as well, is even since I did the presentation in October, I'm already changing a lot of my understandings of it. I understand that Tartaria has become the catch-all term, but when we look at all of these when we're waking up to seeing things that don't make sense with the history, it's not all Tartaria. It could be Lemurian, it could be Atlantean, it could be Mayan, there's many things it could be. So I think we need to be a little cautious about calling everything Tartaria, but let's just keep it that, because we all will know what we're talking about. Basically what we're talking about, that the narrative we've been told about our history, it's it's not correct at all. And so we're going to have a lot of fun digging into that. It's a real fun topic. There's a lot on YouTube and on the internet. But one thing I like to do when I present is, you can go do your own research on this. There's so many videos on it, but I'm going to connect some dots that you may not have connected. And so the other thing I really like to do when I present topics is, I want to go into the so what. It's not true what they told us about a lot of these buildings and things. So what? How's that going to change my life? So we really want to look at that. Is, what are we going to do with this information now that we're seeing the truth of our history? But one thing that I've also seen with this topic is, it's very activating. I didn't coin the term, but it's I believe it was autodidactic, where they came up with Tartarian consciousness. And I've experienced it. Many people do. Some people at your October gathering experienced it, and they literally are saying, this changed my life and how I look at my world now. It's very activating. You get downloads. I do feel like waking up to this levels us up to another notch on this ascension journey. And it's about remembering who we
Yes.
are. And you talk about that a lot, Rion. I was listening to your latest interview, and you were
Right.
talking about that. And Tartaria, I think, really falls into that category.
There's just a lot of things with, people talk about, ancient Egypt. And then if you do enough research, you find out, the land of Chem, right, was in the United States. Okay. Why were there so many giants in the United States? Why are all the mounds in the United
Yes.
States? They're all over the world, mind you. But,
Yeah.
Kincaid,
Yes. The Grand
early
Canyon.
1900s. Yeah. The Grand
Yeah.
Canyon. He goes in there, he sees huge Buddhist statues and Egyptian statues. And then I even learned later about a Chinese general who, in their navy, who used to take pilgrimages from China all the way to the Grand Canyon and back, which is a long trip, mind you. But I found all of these synchronicities, and then I just started thinking to myself, goodness gracious, like, how many things have been changed?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you change? How do you pull the wool over everyone's eyes? It's like, well, if there's a great catastrophe on a planet and there's a 30-foot mud flood, usually when all the buildings are buried, it's about 10 to 30 feet of mud, right,
Yeah.
over the buildings. Well, and then you completely erase the past, and then, you lose the adult generation from multiple ways. And then these kids are raised in this artificial school system, hence, the Rockefellers in 25,
Yeah.
and they're literally pre-programmed, and all of the true history is written out. So it's
Yeah.
very, and that's what people need to kind of wrap their head around. And it's interesting with a lifespan of a human being, right? They can pull the wool over your eyes every 120 years, because there's no one alive that can remember the last time they did it. Most people live about 80, 90, hopefully with these med beds a lot longer. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, it's one of
you
the things,
know,
when you look at the resets, it's pretty disturbing to see some of it. And sometimes you'll go through those emotions of, you'll feel really aggravated, even
hmm
anger at these, what's been done. But it's okay. I feel like we take this waking up knowledge, and
hmm
it's a call to action for me, because many of us are ready to get going. We don't want to be in the
yes.
waiting mode anymore. And I know you talk
Mm-mm.
about this a lot, and I am there. And
Yes.
I am going to, at the end of my presentation, going to do a call out to the group. We're ready to get going. You talk about the City of Lights.
Yes.
I'm a Texan. We're probably going to call it a ranch rather than a
Hey,
than
hey,
a city.
the ranch of lights. I love it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're already looking at land. I'm putting it
Yep.
out there. Go big or go home. 1,000, 3,000 acres. It's
Yep.
totally doable. And so this Tartarian, we'll just call it Tartarian, information that, so they teach us in school that it's linear, right? that we came from Neanderthal or whatever, but we're smarter now than we were 2, 3, 4, 500 years ago. That's not true. It's cyclical. We've been we've been very intelligent, but we have these resets and we lose our knowledge. So we want to talk about that. We don't want to ever lose our knowledge again. Don't
Yes.
put everything in the cloud. Don't get rid of your books. We're not going to let that happen again. And I tell you, Rion, this whole thing, I find pictures in Austin, and that's another fun thing that I want to share with people. How when you go home, you'll know some key things, how to look for these signs wherever you live. It's all over our realm. And so the
I want,
insane asylums that they were putting in. So whenever there's a reset, they do want to get rid of the elders who remember. They could tell people like, well, wait a minute, we had this and we had that. It's like they built these massive structures, probably all over the world, but in the US, you can go to any city and type in Austin, Phoenix, wherever you live, and they did call them insane asylums. And in the 1800s, and they're Tartarian looking structures, they're usually the biggest building in the whole town or city. And so it's like, why is everybody crazy all of a sudden? And I really believe it's because it's the people who remembered prior to the reset. And then there's all these orphans and kids showing up on these orphan trains. It's just, once you see the patterns of it,
it's very predictable. It's just like seeing the end game of what these guys are trying to do with some of this 2030 stuff. Once you see the program run, then you can recognize it very, very easily. You know, even in one of the last videos, you know, we talk about, you know, Cabbage Patch dolls. We talk about the orphan trains, which is funny. The new futuristic version of that is what, Chief Russell J. Gould spoke about in our last interview, where he calls them changelings, that they actually are growing humans in pods. They're removing the female, carrying. So I'm trying to say is like, how many times have they reset the surface of this planet? And then you guys start having to ask yourself, like, who's resetting the surface?
Exactly.
Why is all this action going on in Antarctica right now? Who's really behind the wheel? How long has this been going on? And you go down this rabbit hole, ladies and gentlemen. Even if you've never heard of Tartaria before, go ahead and punch that in on YouTube and just let your eyes go, what? So what I'm getting to, this is the stuff they don't teach in school. This is, usually, at all. And for all the fellow Texans out there, and a very special thing about you, Jan, why don't you talk about your dad and how you had hands-on experience on 6th Street, right, that your dad used to own, about how they were the cobblestones? Tell them. I mean, it'd be cool. People need to know, like, no, this is 100% legit. If you're living in Texas, pay attention. Jan.
No, you can. So when I started learning about Tartaria, I was sharing with Rochelle. In fact, I think that's how her sharing this story with you is how this all got connected with me speaking at the October event. But I started learning about this, and I don't know if Austin's had a major mud flood like you see in some of the pictures where it's, levels going really deep. But we do have the classic telltale signs of Tartaria. The Texas state capitol is a magnificent Tartarian structure. But so my father had a little barbecue business downtown Austin, right off 6th Street. And this would have been the late 60s-ish. And around the corner, so 6th Street then was not a great place to go. It's like, it just had already seen its heyday, and it was like, you didn't really want to go down there. So he got the idea to buy one of the buildings, and he restored it. It was completely full of bats and bat poo and all this. He did a lot of work getting it restored. But I remember going down there, and Texas doesn't do basements. If you live here and you try to dig a hole to plant a shrub, you're going to hit limestone after you dig about that deep. So just so people know that, because if you live in other parts of the country, when I share the story, you're going to go, well, he dug out the basement. No, if you're going to do a basement here, it's going to involve dynamite. Anyway, so he I would go there to visit or whatever, or probably helping him work there. He dug out the lower level, and it took dump trucks and dump trucks and dump trucks of dirt, and it was dried. It had been mud. And so he put his office down there, and it always confused me for years. Whenever I would go see him, there was these two windows, and they were underground. So, and there were windows that would open. They had glass in them, but they faced dirt in the ground. And I always would ask him, why would anybody put windows underground like that? And he didn't know. And so you can go around Austin, especially central Austin, like around the Capitol, and you can find signs of mud flood with the way the doors and the windows are just barely poking up above the ground. And then you go in there. Yeah. So I'll go over that so people can walk around their towns and cities and see how to find the mud flood evidence where they live. But it's pretty much, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
You can't
It's
unsee it.
everywhere.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. And that's what we do at Team Light. We bring like real personal experience, to the narrative that's going on. And once people wake up to truly what has been hidden from you, the main
Yep.
reasons why a lot of these organizations, governments, shadow governments, cabal, Mossad, whatever, three-letter agency, whatever this is for you, the reason why they try so hard to hide the truth from you guys, even all the stuff they pulled out of the Vatican, everything that from all the gold under the Vatican that they wouldn't picked up in 2017 to all of the stuff from Alexandria, all the scripts, they've got books that are made for giants. They're huge,
Yes.
ginormous books. They've got cookware of things that a human cannot lift. What I'm getting to, ladies and gentlemen, the reason
Yep.
why is that the control on this planet was all about, it's always been about control here. And some of the things we need to understand is that those that truly know have kept the secrets and the knowledge from you. They purposely kept you asleep. They purposely kept you controllable. Once you start to realize that only 100 years ago, this is how we were living, and we were told X, Y, and Z, not to mention the weird thing where they added 1,000 years or 100 years to, I forget what it
Yeah.
is, to the calendars to make it seem like it was a long, long time ago where they changed,
It wasn't that long ago.
it
All this
wasn't.
ancient ancestors, it's not that long ago. These were and the other thing they do, and this could be a little controversial with some people, it's just my current understanding today, is what I'm believing today, is so whenever they can't explain anything, like, well, how did they possibly build that building in 2 years in 1760 or whatever? Then it's like, well, the ETs or the aliens did it. And I'm like, well, some of it maybe, but no, it was us. It was our ancestors, but it's cyclical and the resets and so, but I do want to make sure that people understand that this is not a depressing topic. I'm definitely going to be talking about why it's so important to look at some of these things, because a lot of the things that so many of us light workers, light warriors are drawn to now, it does fall into the remembering Tartaria or our ancient history, the sound healing, light, frequencies. They understood all that. And we're going to do some deep dives into that, and the cathedrals and the cathodes and the free energy and electroculture, growing our food. And so what they've been doing is they took all that away and we forgot. So imagine what your life would be like if you had free energy and free clean water, and you didn't have these constant frequencies coming in at all of us. If you could see with our eyes the frequencies that we're being bombarded with, it would freak people out. We're just being inundated with these frequencies, and they didn't have that then. And so Tartarians, whatever culture it was, they lived in harmony, mind, body, soul. They were in balance with nature, so they were peaceful. And so we're bringing that back. That's the main message I have, is we're bringing this back. We're going to use what our ancestors had. We're already remembering it. It does fall into the Tartarian category. That's what I want to focus on. We're not going to just look at a bunch of pictures of buildings. There'll be a little bit of that, but we want to talk about remembering this. Let's bring it back. Let's get busy. Let's start working on our cities of light,
Yes.
our reflection ranches, and it's
That's
yes,
a
the
good one.
RV, our abundance is coming, but we don't want to wait. There's no reason why not to start doing it now.
Yeah, the main thing that got me was the removal of the bells, seeing the
Yes.
pictures of all the bells and how, people thought like,
Mhm.
oh, are they on churches? I'm like, no, those were like harmonic transmitters to heal a human body. And
Yes.
how the churches had these huge organs. It
Yes.
wasn't for
I'm
church
talking about
music,
that. Yes.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't for church music. It was all about cymatics, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
So what I'm getting to is we are coming back into this space. And the main function with some of these controlling factions on this planet is to, yes, technology is cool. How we can communicate right now is super cool. But I 100% agree with Jan saying, hey, don't throw your books away. Keep
Right.
writing, keep creating. We're talking about some of these solar flares coming through and apparently some other things. What's going to happen to all the technology again? I
Yeah.
always say be prepared, have your knowledge, have your notebooks, and, keep it in a positive motion to be prepared for anything. As I think, especially if you in Texas, I know we talked about it on the phone. I'm like, I'm ready to go. I mean,
Yeah.
3 days of darkness,
We're
7
ready.
days of dark, 10 days. I
Yeah.
mean, I got enough space food for 3 years. I mean, let's do this. So, I
Yeah.
mean, whatever it is, add water and heat it up. So, whatever the control system is here, I think a lot of us starseeds who incarnated, you including Jan, I think we're tired of being told what to do by beings that don't have our best interests in mind. Like,
Yeah.
I'm done with you. All I
Yeah.
see in this programming is just commercials, the Super Bowl, the X, the Y, the Z, all these weird things. I just see this entire platform breaking into pieces because our consciousness is beginning to breach what this narrative is trying to preach
Yeah.
personally. And I think that truth and that real knowledge, and all of you guys who are doing your meditations and taking care of yourself and believing in yourself and coming from your heart, for all of us who are truly awakening, God's kids, God's children, the 144, right? The 100, I like to say
Yeah.
144,000 or
Yes.
truly maybe 144 million, okay? Coming together and being with people with like minds, because this time on this particular timeline, we have a golden opportunity to create something that was not accomplished in the past.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yes.
Lemurian Atlantis, hey, they didn't make it. Hey,
Yeah.
Tartaria, guess what? Didn't make it. Rome, guess what? Didn't make it. It's collapsing right now. All right. All roads lead to Rome. Listen, I don't want to be led by a bunch of pirates. Okay. Believing in some sort of weird shenanigans. Why does the Vatican look like a huge cobra head? I don't know. I don't know who they're fooling. I don't know what this is. I don't know what level of intelligence this is. But for us who are like star beings, I'm looking at this stuff like you guys are absolutely, beep, beep, like batshit. Like, I don't know. I can't even look at some of this stuff. It's so ridiculous. So I'm just saying, with you specifically and what you're sharing, it's really important that people that are very logical and analytical, right, see the pictures, see the
Yeah.
proof, see the cymatics, see the readouts. These are the things that people need to see to go, I can't unsee that. I just saw a photo from the World's Fair of what Chicago used to look like in
Yeah.
1913 or whatever. What happened?
And why they tear
Well,
it down, and why has every city in the United States and actually across the realm been burned to the ground so many times? It's
it's
they
it's
do a
pretty
good
hard to burn
job.
stone.
Exactly, exactly.
you
And so
know,
they teach us these things, and we buy it, we believe it. I remember being in France years ago and standing in some of these magnificent palaces and places, and I remember thinking, how is it possible that they built this that long ago? So we do think that, but yet they always have a story with how it was done. And they manipulate some of the historical photos. They'll add scaffoldings and all this stuff. It's what is that expression about, if you add enough details to a lie, it makes it more believable? Well, that's what they've been doing.
mhm. Well,
And then in school they make us go ahead,
the
Rion.
same thing with all the photos. The skylines are all whited out, and they'd used AI and some different photo editors and they pulled the real image of the sky out, and all you saw was airships.
Yeah, is that what
Airships were
vanilla sky
everywhere.
means? I heard that recently. Vanilla sky. I didn't know that's what that meant. It's they went and
Oh,
made all those old 1800 whatever photographs vanilla sky because they deleted the airships and everything that was in there.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So with that being said, Jen, I think we have a photo here of one of your. Let me see this here.
Yeah.
Just something. Let me just go like this. And did you want to kind of, explain a little bit about this image? And this is just a
That,
taster, ladies and gentlemen. You got to
yeah.
come to the conference, but here's an example.
Well, that was my cover slide for the presentation I gave in October. And what's so amazing, what's happening with me and a lot of people, we're just getting so many downloads and things, even just with this particular topic since October, which really wasn't that long ago. I'm like, oh, no, 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 I'm redoing the whole presentation. Now, yes, you're going to see stuff like this in there, but we're going to take it in some directions to focus on um, what are we going to do with this information? It's great, but what are we going to do with it? But with that said, so the story I told you about 6th Street in Austin, that was my topic, was to talk a little bit about Tartaria in Texas. And I'm not going to specifically talk about Tartaria, Texas at the April one, but these are all 3 pictures of local. On the far right, on my right, is the Austin Capitol, which growing up here, you just think of it as a government building. Well, go to the Austin Capitol or any of the buildings where you live. I don't look at it as a government building anymore. I look at it as,
Right.
and I went there right before you came, and it just absolutely, when you look at these buildings with new eyes, it just changes the way you feel about them. And
Hmm.
so they will call them courthouses. The one in the middle is a courthouse. So when these resets happen, these buildings were already here. And then they take them over, they move in, they call them a courthouse, the government building, whatever, and or post office. In this church here, we're going to talk about that. There's the beautiful cymatics window, but that is one of my favorite areas to talk about. The cathedral cathode. We'll
Hmm.
talk about that. The spires on the top. Were these built to be churches or were they built for power stations? There's both. And they're also, I even talk about, are these med beds? I'm definitely going to talk about that. We don't need to wait for med beds. We have, we got to put it together, but we
Hmm.
have it already. They had it. They had the technologies of what a med bed can do, and we're remembering it and we're bringing it back. So I'm going to talk a little bit that as well. You can use sound, and we are remembering it. So we know that we've seen the 3D printed little duck, the duck that didn't have any feet, and they made
Right.
3D printed feet. You can 3D print a nose or an ear, but I don't believe those had the vasculature in it, but now we can. So we are scientists, people, we're remembering. And
Right.
so you mentioned the bells. Yeah, horrific. That I actually cried when I learned about the bells. And so
Hmm.
they call the bells the heartbeat of a community. So these massive
Yep.
multi-ton bells that would ring out and send the cymatic frequencies of healing energies out into the ether, into the villagers, into the animals and plants. And so there's just these beautiful energies around. Well, go figure, they convinced everybody that they needed to take their bells down because they needed to melt them down to make ammunition for the war. No, they didn't.
No,
They
they didn't.
destroyed
You
them.
know, you know what I'm going to do right now, Jan? I'm going to insert that cymatics video that you love from the church. I'm going to
Yeah, I
insert
love
that
that.
right. I'm going to insert that right now. That was awesome,
Yeah.
right? The cymatics, the church bells. I mean, that's the type of technology we're talking about. And I'm
Yes,
just
and
so
you can see
excited,
it, and so
you
we're
know.
bringing back the bells. That's what we're going to do. We're bringing back the bells. Yes,
Yes. Yes. And then all the new ways that we can use in certain advanced technologies, and how there have been huge leaps in technology to be used, what I feel is in a more organic way, in a
yes,
more way that really supports the human biological system, our energy bodies and whatnot. And here at Team Light, we make a lot of specific devices, energy devices, but all of them have that EMF, black tourmaline shungite shield, to
yes.
protect us from some of these frequencies that aren't so good for us. So,
I'm glad you
with
brought that up because I was working on some slides this morning, and
mhm,
this it might seem, how does this tie into Tartaria? But it totally does, with
right,
the EMF protection and all the EMF frequencies that we have in our realm today as opposed to then. And there are things we can do about it, like what you do with
mhm,
the orgonite. And I'm real big into that too. I love orgonite and shungite.
yes,
I don't make it like you do, but that is part of this. So
mhm,
when we look at what's going on, what they have been doing to us, we do have tools that exist right now that we can use, and a lot of it's free or
yes,
relatively inexpensive. The tools that you make with the orgonite, so powerful for
thank you.
protection and with sound healing and our own voice, that I think people probably underestimate how powerful that is. But
Mhm.
there's scientific, ironclad scientific proof, if you need that, that demonstrates what this does. I mean,
These technologies allow your body to accelerate heal themselves. I think it's
yes,
the way we're supposed to say it. But you were
yeah.
accurate in the way that you said it. But
I
for
don't even remember
fluff
how I
tube,
said it.
yeah, no, for fluff tube, these
Oh,
technologies allow your own body to heal
there
itself
you
at an
go. There you
accelerated
go.
rate. Okay, that's how we do it for fluff tube.
Oh,
But
sorry, forgot
with
about
that,
that.
no, you're good. Listen, listen. The truth is the truth. We're just
Right.
fit.
Well, yeah. Look what they
You know,
did to Reich and hold on a second. Now I'm blanking out.
Wilhelm Reich. Yeah,
Wilhelm
he got
Reich and
arrested and died in jail.
Reich, Reich and Reich. Yes,
Yeah,
Tesla, all of them. Yeah,
you know.
that's what they do. Sometimes I just get in that mode where I want to do some research, and next thing you know, 2 hours have gone by, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know all this was going on. So I
Yeah,
do think, Rion, that some of these people that are doing this research maybe aren't promoting it a lot because we know what
right.
happens to them. They get attacked.
Yeah, and the whole thing is that if they can't purchase you, if they can't
Mhm.
buy your technology, with fake Babylonian money magic, then they come at you in a different way. So hopefully, when I feel this truly, I do feel the world is changing. I do feel we're getting more disclosure. I really do hope that these particular white hats are doing their job and arresting some of these jackasses. And
Yeah,
I really do feel, I mean, goodness gracious, if you look at the political system in the United States right now, we all know something's wrong. For what freedom, sovereignty, and peace truly stands for, and to put the right people in the right places of office to actually help this planet evolve. Because here's what I can say with the councils upstairs: I have been down here long enough staring at this collective, remembering things, staring at who these people put in charge, staring at these families, having these conversations upstairs. I can tell you something that's different about us being here right now. There is a change coming that is unprecedented, that has not been felt in a very, very long time. 1,000 years plus. Not a 100-year reset, 1,000 years plus. There's
mhm.
something else that's going on behind the scenes. And it's like, as all of these extraterrestrial, interstellar civilization start kind of, let's just say, spreading out around Earth. There's something in this gathering, there's something in this vibrational change to the surface of this planet. A lot of people talk about it with, Earth, right? 3D, transitioning to Terra, fourth density, transferring to Gaia, fifth density. There is something else going on here that is naturally happening, that is something that is unprecedented. And I feel like this remembrance, or us being here and our higher selves and everything, us witnessing all of this, sometimes I feel like I'm just a witness. I'm like, I was there. I'm sure you feel the same way, Jan. It's like, hey, we were there during the Great Transition. We're in the Great Transition right now. So all we can do right now is pay attention, keep our head on a swivel, come from our hearts, and truly just get ready for that golden age. And when the time comes, Jan, I definitely agree. Now is the time. Now is the time to come together. Now is the time of the great gathering. And Jan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this podcast today. Was there anything else you'd like to say?
Well, just what you were saying right there is, I think, a good way to close this up, is that this topic ties into exactly what many of us are feeling right now. I'm an indigo first waver. I was one of the first ones, I guess, to raise my hand. And we've been doing the work. We've been, doing our healing work, learning the lessons, making bad decisions and learning from that. But with that said, I do sometimes feel that a lot of people are really looking externally, waiting for things to change. And maybe when the president changes or whatever. And I'm really kind of pulling away from that more. Not that I don't want that to happen. I'm not saying that. It's that we don't need to wait for the external to change. We can change it. And we're going to. And I do feel like many of us are ready. We're not going to sit and wait. And this April event is going to bring a lot of people together who are feeling the exact same way.
Yes.
And we're going to be dancing on your dance floor or whatever there. And we're going to be like, let's get going. Okay, here we go. I'm ready.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So, Jan, is there anyone who maybe particularly lives in Texas, or anyone who maybe wants to join your group, online groups? How do people get in contact with you?
Well, let me think. I've got Lone Star Angelics, but that's, let me think. You're welcome to share. I'm in the Telegram group.
Oh, no, 100%. But I'm saying, like, for a title for you right now, like, if someone's like, I love Jan, I want to know more about her. So is that LoneStarAngelics.com?
Yeah, I have a website. I haven't updated it lately, but it's in there, and you can contact me through there.
Beautiful.
But I don't have that kind of, I don't have a big YouTube channel and stuff like that. So.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm pulling out all my secrets across the United States. I got a lot of powerful light workers, right? And light healers and light warriors. Team Light's no joke. So what else we got? I did want to say this for everyone who did purchase a ticket. Please, there's a PDF that comes with that. Open that, download it, that PDF, open it up, and there is the direct link to the Telegram group that Jan is discussing. It's just for us, coming to the Bastrop. It's really just for people to make it easier to meet one another, ride shares, whatever that is, you guys get together as a family. And with that being said, Jan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on Team Light interviews. And I can't wait to see your presentation in Bastrop.
I can't wait to have y'all here again. It was so fun last time. I'm really excited.
All right. Well, listen, till next time.
Yeah.
Peace.
Bye, everybody.
When I turn up the stars for you, it will be tonight when I turn off the world for you and you. It will be tonight when I turn up the stars, I turn up the stars for you. Rewind, forget your past.